message. And yeah, that's this is like long story short for now at least. And yeah, I would like to present like a small tool that I've worked on today.
Cool. Next on the list, I've got Alex Zak.
Hi. Sorry, I just joined. Are we doing an introduction?
Yes, please. Yeah, just let us know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Alex. I've recently started working at a company called DAOstack. We're basically building a stack to build DAOs. And I'm in charge of our kind of first product called Alchemy, which is a browser for our DAOs. So yeah, and today I wanted to bring up the subject of which kind of tools that we're mostly used to in regular apps, if they're applicable in dapps. Are there lines that we should not cross? Those kind of things.
Cool, great. Just going through the list, I've got Christoph. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah. So I'm from Germany. I've been a freelance UX designer for quite some time, and the last year and a half I've worked with Monero, so I'm helping design that official GUI wallet, and for maybe 4 months now with the Grin team, which is just super new and just trying to get the basics of design in there, build the first graphical wallets. I'm also working on a website where I gather all my design research, the cryptouxhandbook.com. So I'm always researching different things there. Currently trying to figure out multi-sig wallets. And if you have any good references, let me know. I'm looking for good examples of those.
Cool. Next on the list, I've got, sorry if this pronunciation is wrong, but Aqeel, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, this is Aqeel. I'm currently with the Web3 Foundation. Was crucial in fostering this community, the complex forums, the UXN conference in Berlin. Probably going to come another one soon. So just been in the community a while. Have worked with a lot of projects. Excited to see fresh faces come join the community. Thanks a lot to Charlie, kind of picking everything back up after DevCon. So it's great to see more interest in seeing, especially the great work that's being done around UX the past few months. So glad to kind of get associated with you guys and see what's happening and how we can support the community.
Cool. Next on the list, Diego. I don't think your mic's on.
No? Better? Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, nice to meet you guys. I'm Diego Mazo. I'm from Spain, but I live in Bogota. I'm assistant professor in the design faculty, and I'm service designer, strategic designer. And currently I'm researching about decentralized services. So that's why I'm here. I'm willing to learn and to share my research that is initiating at the moment. So yeah, and my research mainly focused on tools, prototyping tools to prototype services in the dapp environment.
Cool. Next on the list, I've got Jacob.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Jacob. I'm out of Seattle, Washington, here in the States. I'm formerly from the synthetic biology venture world. And currently I'm tinkering with kind of an open source bank in the DeFi world. But I'm here just because I got the idea to organize a kind of decentralized live stream type conference, just to kind of improve the, I guess, design of this entire industry.
Cool, thank you. I've got, is it Reem next on the list?
Hi, everyone. I'm Reem. I am based in Washington, D.C., I'm currently the analytics UX UI designer at Deloitte here. And I've been involved with the DC blockchain community for 4 years, mostly as a person that brings the community together, organize events. Right now, I'm primarily focused at work on analytics and data viz design, but I am tinkering with designing for blockchain.
Cool, thank you. I've got Shira next up.
Fantastic. Hey, I used to be in Washington, D.C., working in politics, left that and have been in blockchain for the last 2 years. And recently it's become really clear to me that the industry is just systemically not oriented around human beings and their needs. And it's really oriented around kind of the earliest adopters of this particular form of new high tech. And so I've been trying to figure out the best way to shift that, because I think it's pretty scary if we re-engineer economics and governance based on just the intelligence of a very few people, as smart as they are, developers and mathematicians. So I'm working on a industry-wide lab for user research and education, and we're starting out hopefully with about 7 of the larger companies in the industry. But I'm really open to working with anyone here and getting ideas about how to do this best. We're planning to launch in the summer.
Cool, thanks. I've got Marko next, but I know Marko's walking. I don't know if you would like to say anything. If not, don't worry.
Hey, sorry. Hi, everyone. I just sat in my car. My name is Marko. I'm from Croatia, Zagreb. I'm a product designer, UX designer. I'm all kind of type of person, all around design. Currently working at a consultancy, mostly traditional client work related, but we also done some blockchain projects and exchanges, cryptocurrency stuff like that previously. Been into Web3, all that kind of stuff for quite some long time. Here to meet you all, to learn about whatever projects you're doing. Pretty much interested in everything basically. So yeah.
Cool. I can't see a name, but I've got a number, 31212, with a very cool graffiti background on your video. Sorry, I don't know your name.
Hey, yeah, sorry, I don't know how to put a name there. Anyway, hi everyone, my name is Tien. I am currently a design research intern at RBC, the Royal Bank of Canada. And I know it's a bank, please don't think of me as a trader or anything. I'm actually a double agent because on the side, I'm doing 2 part-time pro bono projects with 2 different blockchain startups. One of them is called Kleros. So they're a decentralized justice protocol that they're building based out of South America. And I'm based out of Toronto. And the other one is called Raise. They're a social enterprise that is basically building out a digital securities platform for the emerging markets of Africa, but also all over the world. They're based out of Kenya. And I'm doing product design work for them. And I'm doing design research work for Kleros as a fellow. 3-month fellow that started in January. My current internship at RBC ends at the end of April. And so I'm also applying and interviewing for full-time work. So if any of you can help, that'd be great. I am like pretty much done school. This is the last internship before I'm done school. And yeah, I went to U of T for University of Toronto for industrial engineering or human factors engineering. And I've actually been involved in the blockchain space since 2015. So like, I'm not completely new to the space either. Like that was when I first met Vitalik at a hackathon, and the rest is history. Like I wrote an article about it. I shared it. I also introduced myself in the Confluence. Yeah, so, and then I don't know what else to say. I guess I probably said a lot.
No, that's great. No, it's really exciting. It's good to have people from different backgrounds, and you're definitely not the enemy at banks. I've got one other person who, again, I don't know her name. I've just got, it says RGOJ5+. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Okay, no. Have I missed anybody? Okay, cool. In that case, my name's Charlie. I run a design studio called Deep Work Studio. Just excited to say that I've got Jeff Rayner joining me now to run the studio together. He's a front-end developer. So we're going to do like a bigger launch about it soon, but we're entirely focused on blockchain projects. So it's just about bringing good design into the space. That's our goal. Moving on. So the first thing we've got Patryk is going to do a presentation. I'll let him lead.
Hi. Yeah, so it's just I wanted to show like the small tool I've worked on. It's like I really count on your feedback both in terms of general direction, general idea, but also more about like specific issues that I think might be universal for the whole blockchain space. So I'm doing like this small embeddable widgets, like graphical user interfaces for smart contracts. Like embeddable, they are web-based, and it's pretty easy to do like this kind of snippets. As what we need to do is we are selecting a smart contract by either like just searching for it or pasting it. And as you can see, we are just sticking it down some particular functions. We can predefine those functions. And at this point, we have like a ready to use widget to either embed on our website or use it like as a standalone thing. It's, as I said, it's embeddable. I really want to make it accessible and easy to use for the end user, but also for the developer that's not necessarily familiar with the Web 3.0 stack. So that's like my main focus. That's also why I'm here. That's why I need your help. I want to make it very easy to customize functions and look. And we are also thinking about hosting some parts of it on IPFS. So at this point, it will be by default versioned. I'll jump now maybe to my product decisions, like some design decisions. And once I'm there, I will also have some questions to you. I also share the Figma link in the Zoom. So if you can just jump straight into the file with me. I mean, each smart contract, each smart contract, of course, has like the read or write functions, and each of these functions can accept some particular parameters, like, for example, address, right? Address, value, string. So I thought that maybe if we can just make these things like very good, very easy to use and component-based, then we can also prepare like interface in a very generative way. So here I thought about, like, for example, in terms of address, in like very small, easy to use helpers that you can like easily paste your address or your user's address whenever you're the creator of the widget. You can also get the access to last transactions, so you can easily see those. I also was thinking about providing some very basic identification. Like, for example, I don't really remember my address, but I do remember the holdings on this address. So let's say that I've paid the address, and I can easily see that I own, like, this address owns like particular tokens, or that I've interacted with this address before. So it's kind of like I already feel a little bit safer towards sending some assets to the other sites. I was also thinking a little bit about different visual representations. So we are, of course, using, like, I still don't know what's the correct name for this, like blockies, graphicons, that like based on the hash. I also was thinking, like, what if we can actually somehow improve the visual appearance of the address. Of course, we are using the randomness on one side, but on the other side actually might be much more easier to identify the address in a particular context of an interface. So that's my big struggle, like what might be helpful to identify the address, like how to display the address, like do you show one, do you do a multi-line, of course, pretty long, like if you cut some numbers, if you cut some hash, then like which part of it and why, and what do you think, like, in general about the icons as like dynamic representation of address holdings? Do you think is it usable? Like, actually, does user is able to identify that this hash is being represented by actually this visual appearance, right? So that's the one of the struggles I have right now. I don't know if you want to, like, if we should jump to the questions now, or can I just continue and then we can try, like, up to you. Like, I don't know how to proceed now.
I think you should continue presenting, and then we'll come back to the questions.
makes sense. The same with I was doing the same for string. Like for string is like basically a string. So right now I just skip that. And for value, I just want to provide like very basic validation. So let's say that the value is greater than X, smaller than Y, and so on and so on. The same for the button. Like whenever the function is a signature, then of course we can synchronize the button state with actually what's happening under the hood. I was also thinking about like actually changing the visual appearance of the button based on the Web3 provider. And then, of course, we have all the possible error states or the possible processing states, etc., etc. I was also, really wanted to prepare some little helpers. Like let's say that confirm MetaMask might not be like the easiest to follow command. So like for example, whenever you hover, you can see that, well, there's the Fox icon that you need to click. I will just show you the very, very simple flow, like that's more in depth based on these components already. So I've just, here is like still not defined here, but you're either basically a smart contract or you're just selecting it. And then once analyzed, that's what you see. So it's like all the functions that were in the smart contract, then you are just basically selecting them. So here was like a read function. I'm seeing the outcome of this. I can also define some values. Like here, I've put my address, and I've defined that I want only value that's smaller than 50. At this point, I can generate the widget, and that's like my second issue. Like long story short, how can I trust the interface? So here I thought that I really want to sign the widget. So you're basically just assigning the JSON. So I can tell that this address was created, like this interface was created by this address, and I can play around that. I can play around the authentication around that. And once I've signed this, that's the outcome of the whole flow. I'm just seeing divs that are already functional. It's already working. I can either paste it. I can either paste on my website, or I can just link to it. Then the user, if I'm just linking to it, then the user will just see we transfer like website with this widget, and it's working. So it's very easily linkable. The user also can embed this on the web-based products. And but I also thinking like if we have the same structure, then I was also like imagining this horizontal UI kit layer. Whenever I'm entering the website, I see that my holdings are being analyzed, and after a while, I'm just generating the front end for it. It's like a dummy version, but just to visualize the idea, and I can like instantly interact with the smart contracts that are relevant for my holdings. So yeah, like long story short, I was imagining the product that could serve both the role of providing a little bit more inclusivity to the development side, but also provide like this very horizontal UI layer that might make it easier to both interact and create in very fast way. It's like I just really wanted to keep it short. so this is just a brief overview of what I was working on, and I would really like to jump into the questions both in terms of general feedback, like what do you think about the product, possible use cases. I was mainly thinking about like prediction markets, token created registries, like payments. Like that's like the obvious use case, just so anyone can accept payments anywhere without technical knowledge, or even DAOs when you are just getting alerts that there is some relevant thing that you must vote on, or you have to pay and perform some particular action. Yeah, that's like a. I mean, so far that's it. Like, thank you.
Thanks for presenting. I think the UI looks great. Just touching on the blockies conversation, we've had the conversation around the efficacy of blockies and identicons as far as facilitating users' ability to associate those with their addresses and the challenges that we face. So we have a discussion going on Conflux in regards to that. So I'll link that.
Oh, perfect.
For you to take a read. And also, I think I raised this point on the discussion as well, is that when we're designing these systems, I think we're still foregoing a lot of work that needs to be done as far as accessibility that the Web2 products are looking into, which we're kind of just overlooking because UX is so horrible in this space. So when it comes to colors and color blindness, and how do you kind of design for other devices that might not be able to render colors or be doing some other form of visual feedback, how do you create those feedback loops? So I think they serve an intended purpose to a degree, but there's definitely more research that needs to be done in that regard, and I'm sure people have more insights into that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking like both in terms of purely visual representation based on the hash, but also like if we could, like for example, somehow combine it with the address relation to my address. Like let's say that I've interacted with this address, I've sent something to this address maybe, or maybe this address is like just has like only one transaction and doesn't seem trustful enough for me, etc., etc. So yeah, thank you. I would love to read more in the link that you've mentioned.
So Pride, sorry. I think visually from the execution, the UI, everything, you have it totally nailed, and you're clearly very talented. And I think that's all really good. In terms of the setup flow, the only thing that I could recommend is to just show one field at a time instead of everything at once.
Oh, you mean like here whenever you're selecting particular functions?
Yeah, exactly. When you click through those different fields and you see the preview, just my experience with user testing and onboarding things, just showing one thing at a time helps a lot, because it allows people to focus, and you have more space to explain everything. And you can do these previews, smartly analyze the address and everything. But I actually wanted to draw it to something different. I came across the site recently through Twitter, and I thought it looked really cool, but I had no idea what I would actually do with it. I am pretty familiar with blockchain and somewhat familiar with all the smart contracts. And if you go to the homepage, I can just tell you what I saw.
Sure.
So, I saw the title and thought, okay, it kind of makes sense. Then I saw, will Coinbase delist ETC?
Yeah, like those are examples of how it could be utilized.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, okay, can I figure that out? And I kind of could. I saw prediction markets, and then okay, I kind of get it. And then the next one, I really had to think hard, and I had to piece things together. Those cards look really awesome, but they make me think pretty hard, and I don't have a good solution for you.
Okay, but that's very good feedback. Thank you.
And I'm curious what everybody else thinks. Maybe everybody else is just totally gets it, and it's just me, and that's fine too. The other
even if it's just you, then it's still should be.
Yeah,
it's a good
and
point.
that's why I said, I think UI and execution wise, you totally have it nailed. But I think kind of the entry point would be good, and that's where use cases come in, giving something really simple that instantly makes sense, and then taking it from there. The other thing I'm curious would be to explain on the homepage, like why would I want to embed this somewhere? Like what's an example? Let's say I have a blog and
in the center, it's providing like a better context for the smart contract usage, right? This is like you don't have to link to someone to go to some, I don't know, relayer or some DAO. You can just make this interaction happen straight on the website.
Yeah, it could be something like I have an online shop where I sell mugs, and I can put something like that in this awesome widget that just makes the smoother, and I get more people to buy my mugs, or I don't know, just
probably
stories like that. Then I think.
Thank you. That's a very good one. Yeah, I was also thinking like in terms of like just to create like a Dappi examples, right? Like a showcase page. I think it might be also like solving the issue that you raised.
Yeah, I'd love to see a really good example in action there and play with it.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else want to have any feedback, or Patryk, have you got any other questions directly?
No, like the most direct questions I had was like for the how do you display the address? Like this it sounds silly, but it's like very difficult for me to solve it nicely. And the second was about just the trusting interface. Like, does this verification method is enough? Like, how can I trust my Ether wallet that this this is going to work and it's going to actually trigger the smart contract the way I wanted it to be triggered? But I think like this general question is like it's a very broad one, like how to interact with that, like let's call it trustless instrument, but through the interface that I have to trust.
Cool.
But like,
okay.
yeah, apart from it, that were like my main struggles here.
Cool.
So maybe I can say something about that. We don't really have a solution just yet. We basically are going to integrate a new feature to our DAO, which is basically have a proposal that executes a generic action, basically any smart contract, and you can call it with any parameters that you'd like. And we actually we don't have a solution just yet. We're just coming out of alpha into beta, but we do envision a sort of a referencing. Maybe referencing is not the right word. A validation network of some sort. So you would have so the process of a proposal for us is that you see a proposal and then you can vote on it for or against, and you can also we also have sort of a prediction market around it. So in order to well, it's a long story. We'll leave it for later. But basically, before anyone can come and evaluate it, and the proposal, yes, he has to first trust the contract, and the only way that we saw that we can solve it is to have an actual a distributed list of verified and trustworthy contracts, which you could then use to verify your contracts. It's still very far away from being in existence, but that's sort of the thing that we think that could solve this problem.
Thank you. Like, if you have like any resources, like to link to that, I would love to read. I would love to read more about this.
I'll try to find some and post it in the Telegram.
Sure. Thank you.
Cool. Patryk, are you right if we move on to the next bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, thank you very much. Like this was very helpful, and I'm very happy to like present the small tool I've worked on.
Cool. No, thank you. So I see on the list Beltran was going to talk about the design system, but he messaged me before and said something had come up and he can't make today's call. So next on the list I've got Alex. What regular app tools are considered off limits in the dapp world? Alex, I'll hand over to you.
Yes, thank you. So I guess mine is less of a presentation, but more of an open discussion. So I just joined DAOstack a couple of months ago, and at the current version of our product, we basically have just a sort of a 90s looking app, maybe 2000 looking app with all the tools sort of stripped down. So all the tools, like, I mean, my tools are like a product manager's tool. So we don't have any analytics. We don't have any proper user support, nothing even resembling like an intercom bubble or something like that, and very far away from like session recordings or stuff like that. And when I first started to kind of bring those issues up and thinking about integrating them, everyone was sort of reluctant or kind of uncomfortable with adding tools that in a way could spy on the user and open some kind of a trust issue. And we're still discussing this, and we'll start trying to brainstorm around it. But I just wanted to kind of hear your feedback or your experience and how communities react to those kind of tools additions, and what kind of lines shouldn't we cross? I'm guessing session recording is still a little too early. But what can we add, and what kind of tools do you guys use in your products?
So I'll just chime in. I think that's a very big issue in our space because of the context of the technology that we're working with around privacy and how we deal with user research. So some great work has been done in regards to status and how they handle that work. I believe Hester shared some of those research findings and the processes that they have in place. So let me see if I can find that link for you and kind of share that out. But they raise a good point about not actually trying to log any information, but putting in more research methods that kind of allow us to get that information in other manners. So they do a lot of more like one-to-one user research, and they do a good job of kind of segmenting the user flows and how they approach their user journeys, just to kind of get that feedback instead of doing more of a combative type of situation where they're logging all the information necessary. But I think there needs to be a lot more work done in regards to what are acceptable terms in the Web3 space for user sessions and what can be recorded and how people opt in.
I just shared a link as well to a team called Block Native. I met them. I don't know much about them, but I know they do some kind of like analytics, performance analysis. I'm not quite sure how they do it, but I just might be interesting on that topic.
I think
sorry, this is Shira. I'll just say that the way that we've been approaching it as we talk to companies like Zcash and Shapeshift and companies that really, ideologically were early on blockchain leaders and deeply value privacy and the core values of this space. We can do user research that's new user research, right? Instead of analyzing and digging into the privacy of their current users, the way that, we're going about helping them think through better design of their products is a little bit easier because it's around people who aren't yet using their products and kind of just a wider swath of people. So I think we definitely need to solve the particular problem you're talking about, but I also think we could do a lot more data gathering among just everyday mainstream people in different segments and different possible user segments, and not have the same issues that are confronted by like Zcash needing to use it.
You kind of broke off at those last two sentences. Can you just repeat those, please?
Sorry, can you hear me or am I still crackling?
You're good.
Okay, great. Sorry, great. So I was saying that for companies like Zcash and Shapeshift, the quality of data that can be provided to them that's from new people that aren't yet using their product is extremely valuable. So while I'm not solving the problem for you of how do we still get data on the kind of early adopters and have that inform product design and development, I think Hester probably has the best answers on that. But I think we can focus, or it's possible to kind of shift our data research focus outside of current users and into kind of the world of most people on the planet that aren't using this, and trying to find out what they want and prototype things with them. I think that's just as valuable at this stage in the industry personally.
Great, thank you. And Christoph, you want to say something?
Yeah, I worry. Yeah. So the first project I started working with is Monero, right? Monero desktop wallet. And here you have kind of the most extreme privacy people. They don't even know each other's names or where they live. And anything is scrupulous, in detail decided that no data can be leaked or gathered in any possible way. Nothing can link to each other, no dependencies, nothing. So that was my entry point. And at first I thought, this is crazy because my regular day job, we gather like insane amount and buy insane amounts of data and analyze everything. It's ridiculous. But I think it's actually a really cool challenge. And I think generally there's so much low-hanging fruit to just get the crypto space up to the the like really good level that kind of other, let's say iOS or you know, kind of industry standard is outside of the space. I think there's a lot that can be done. And I'm trying to challenge myself at least to stay away from throwing Google Analytics and everything elsewhere, and just try to, like next month, there's a user testing and pizza session here in Munich. So I'll try to take the wallet there and just like more directly deal with people. And also like in the beginning, when you onboard people, you have to say like, you're responsible now for these things. That also means like, you need to tell us when something's wrong and when you want something to be improved. So you kind of create a different relationship from the start, and then will hopefully also result in people being more proactive. I don't know. It might change over time, because right now the people are very particular in this space. And let's say once Coinbase has 2 billion people, things might be different. And once there are very big corporations with lots of trust and whatnot, who knows? But right now, I think it's very sensitive.
Do you have any? Oh, sorry. Do you have any good examples of someone asking for that feedback, saying, "Hey, you know, like we're not tracking this. Can you give us data? It's your responsibility."
I mean, if you set up a Mac or an iPhone, it asks you like, "Are we allowed to gather data? Or do you want to send crash reports to the app developers?" I mean, those are just two very simple questions, but if you read that text, and it's actually pretty interesting I find it interesting to read that. They try to be very specific about it. And just taking that approach, adjusting it to whatever you're doing, I think could be a good starting point.
Cool. Okay.
So definitely what you said is also very, very relevant to, well, not so new, but for the GDPR regulations that now, a lot of companies now has to face. So basically you have to inform the user what information you're gathering and what are you going to be using it for and where are you storing it, and be fully disclosed about that. So definitely relevant. And so having that layer of kind of opting in definitely is something that we thought of and kind of still thinking about. But I think that there was one distinction about the example you said for Monero specifically, which is a wallet. So it actually stores your private key, and it can do like if that specific set of characters leaks, you can do whatever you want with it. But if we're talking about the world of dapps, where you inject the wallet from an outside source, so you never really get access to those precious characters everyone's trying to hide. Is there still any reason to fear those tools? Or because my feeling is that if it is secure and there is no way for us to access it, can we? I don't know. It feels sort of shame not to utilize all those amazing tools that we have in the kind of regular world. Tools.
There's still the danger of metadata. So if, let's say, there's a session identifier that Google injects into everything that specifically identifies your device, and then somehow they also get the address, then they can link your addresses together and match it with your profile, and Facebook is most likely already doing that. So I think it's maybe not directly the keys or so, but there's still the profile building that happens, and that's very valuable too. And that can leak to be sold and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Jacob, do you want to go up next, talking about organizing a virtual conference for decentralized UX?
Yeah. Let me see if I can. So I am not a designer. I'm more of a user. So I kind of come from this. This is kind of probably odd for me to be organizing a conference. But I kind of came into it because I was just kind of tinkering around. And then I noticed pretty much every single crypto website was pretty inaccessible from like a colorblind standpoint. So then I just started putting out some kind of Gitcoin, hey, I'll give you $20 if you improve the accessibility of your website type things, starting with Gitcoin. And so it kind of just snowballed from there. So the goal of the conference is really just improve accessibility, start more conversations around users and usability, get new designers into the crypto world, and then connect those designers or current designers with companies who kind of need more design. And so right now I have it all organizing in a Google Doc, which I'll share. So initially it was going to be a kind of in-person conference, probably in New York or somewhere in Canada where people can actually get visas. But then I figured, why not just organize it as a live stream conference? I don't know if any of y'all have ever attended just Drip's automated conference. But it seems to work pretty well. And so that would kind of keep the costs down, as either like if we can get enough sponsors, could make it free or at least very, very cheap. Oh, it seems like everyone's there. So yeah. So right now I'm really just looking for anyone who wants to either talk or help organize, or if anyone knows anyone who is kind of a live stream expert, that would be very helpful.
So are you in the Telegram channel for us to reach out to you personally, or?
Yeah, I am now. I'll introduce myself there as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Just out of curiosity, what are the costs involved in doing a live stream conference? What kind of sponsorship do you need?
So it's really just the initial website to where it can kind of be embedded, and then just live stream membership, which I think is only like $200 a month.
Okay.
So it doesn't really need much sponsorship. So I can probably front it all myself, but more sponsorship, more things that can be done. Because I was thinking kind of around like the focal point of a conference, you can also do things, which I thought was pretty cool what y'all were doing here as well with kind of the dapp review. So if you could do a dapp on like a mass scale, or organize kind of in-person events, or have like a unified, I guess, job application. So if you can get a whole bunch of sponsors to kind of sponsor it, and then have them kind of have access to job applicants, that might be useful as well. But really, all of this is very early stages.
Yeah, I feel like it would be even cool to like use something like, I don't know, like unlock protocol, I think it's called. And so we are just like getting the link unlocked, and that just by ticketing it. It's, I don't know, like just random thought they had, like, because I was playing around lately with this tool.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was thinking free, but then it would also be cool to kind of design something where people have to kind of use something in crypto to actually buy the thing to have access to.
Maybe like not even like buying it first, like just using some, but like maybe having something that might unlock this. I don't know, just random thought. It might be also interesting to experiment with, and maybe just like somehow make different, I don't know, rooms on the conference, etc., etc.
Hey Jacob.
Yeah.
You hear me? Marko here. Sorry, I'm in the car driving. So I have a friend who organized a conference, an online conference. So I can hook you up with him. Maybe he could share his experience from that. So please reach out to me later. Okay.
Definitely, will do.
Okay.
I'll just put in my 2 cents that I think in-person gatherings are really important. So I hear the benefits of online, but you know, the engineers and developers in the space do gather quite a lot in person. And there's a lot of larger conferences. And I would be, if I were you, because I really care about bringing people together and allowing for the kind of dynamic conversations and learning that can happen. But I would think, work with DevCon is, should you just like enhance, there was a very small design track this last year. Could that be enhanced? I just think about some of these other larger events and get feedback from designers who've been in the space a long time, like Christopher and other people here, about what they really need, like what would provide the most value. And maybe it is online, but I'm curious if maybe there's other ways to handle this that wouldn't be that hard either.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Jacob, is there anything else you'd like to know, or anybody have any big comments?
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say, yeah, if you need help with like, if you want this to be so going off of what was just said about having in-person conferences, yeah, I could help with like securing venues in Toronto, or a venue, or partnerships or whatever. Like I actually gave a presentation at a blockchain unconference a few months ago, organized by the blockchain community in Toronto. It wasn't a design conference, but it was blockchain, and I got to talk about design of blockchain there. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Everybody.
Thank you, Jacob. Jazz, I put myself on the list just as a quick one. I hope you don't mind, but I was just going to share a piece of work, but I don't want to take up masses of people's time. So
we love you, Charlie. We want to hear.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. Can you all see that? Yeah. Cool. I've got a thumbs up. So we've just been working on the SendWire site for the last few weeks. We just got a version 1 update of their landing page at the moment. Basically, if you're not familiar with SendWire, they've been in sort of the Bitcoin space since 2013. They're originally doing e-commerce payments, and then they moved into international wire transfers, and they've pivoted very much back into the Web3 space, doing essentially on-ramps, compliance and liquidity for dapp developers or blockchain developers. So we've been building a website which basically shows off their tools and talks to developers. That's kind of the background. So just to go through the site, it's kind of like a headline. We're trying to show off the features in this section here, making it a bit interactive. And then we also have sort of 2 kind of product offerings. One is their widget, which is basically, it's almost like it can be a wallet, or you can connect to an existing Web3 solution. And shortly they'll be doing debit card transfers. So if you've got a dapp, you can simply embed their widget to your site, add an add funds button, and in basically a few clicks, a user can go from fiat to tokens just through a debit card pretty instantly. And then they've got a more customizable solution with their API, which you can basically, it's much more customizable, sort of like more like a white label solution. And we're also trying to show that they're part of the community as well. So talking to the developers there. And then we need to encourage them through to becoming a partner. That's the basic site so far. But what we do need to do is build a product page which goes much more into the details of what they do. What I'd love to hear is if anybody would like to have a look at the website in their own time and just say it's missing this piece of information, or I need to know this, it doesn't say this to me and I'm a bit confused by that. That will basically be really useful information for us to build the product side of it. But yeah, I don't want to take up loads of people's time, so feel free to send me a message, or if anybody has any comments now, yeah, please let me know.
Totally breaking up right now, at least for me.
Yes, he is.
Sorry guys, can you hear me now?
It's
Hello?
impossible to hear.
Sounds Tron-like.
Oh, sorry, guys. I know what's just happened. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we heard
Okay.
you up until you said,
Yep.
take your time on your own time and go check out the website and tell me what's missing.
I'm so sorry. I know what it is. It's because I'm using my 4G, and someone's trying to call me on my phone. The Wi-Fi in the hotel wasn't very good. I apologize. Anyway, look, I know we're running out of time, coming up to the hour, so I'll post a link in the chat if anybody wants to do any feedback there. Also, one thing that'd be really great, if anybody wants to write like a little 2-sentence bio and maybe a link to their Twitter profile in the group chat, I'll post that underneath the video so people can find the people who are talking when they watch it back. That would be a really useful thing if anybody wants to do that. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss since we're here?
Oh, yeah. So I mentioned earlier that I'm doing some design research for Claros, that blockchain startup. And so I was wondering if anyone here might be interested in testing out their product. I'm planning out the user test. I'm going to be planning out the test on usertesting.com.
Tian, count me in, Tian.
Okay. Okay, sweet. Thank you, Marko.
Sure, sure.
Me too. Would love to check it out.
Okay. Wait, sorry, who was that? That was Alex.
That was me, Alex.
Yeah, you can also
Okay.
come in, but like just post the link, and I'll be happy to join.
Okay. Okay. It's not, the link to the test is not ready yet. So what would be the best way to take? I guess answer.
I think Confluence post would be great if you want feedback from people immediately on there. If you want just people to contact you, Telegram would be the best way to get in touch.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
The Web3.
I'll do Confluence. Okay. I think I'll do Confluence then. Okay, thank you.
Cool, great. Anybody else?
I mean, if we have a few minutes, I'm curious. I've spoken a little bit with IDEO Collab. I haven't yet spoken, but they're next on my list with I think it's called Frog or Frogs. I can't remember. These kind of larger non-blockchain design studios. I'm curious if anyone here has experience with them and/or feels like it would be really valuable to get some of that knowledge and expertise kind of injected into this space, or not. Just kind of a very general question, but I haven't quite figured out. Jan Chip Chase is another person that I'm pursuing, kind of trying to figure out these like larger design intelligence bodies. What are we doing to intersect? And if anyone has ideas or wants to talk about it offline, I'd love to do that as well.
Actually, we have Tara from IDEO Collab who's very involved with blockchain stuff. They have a whole venture labs there. So I think there's a lot of interest from quite a few parties as far as developing design thinking and more design methodologies around Web3. So I think the more designers we get in the space, the better. Just engaging them in the right context and making sure that everyone sees the value add from the ecosystem. So that'd be great for people to kind of like take up that torch and spread that knowledge to these organizations. So if you do have those contacts, I think it'd be great to kind of share those with other people and make sure that there's some sort of collaboration going on in that regard as well.
Okay, great. Maybe I'll follow up with you about Tara, because my conversations with her, I'm a little confused, like, whether we're using them as effectively as we could, or, how to merge the intelligence of both spaces. So I'd love to hear what you and her have discussed.
Thanks.
Cool.
I'm working with the Grin community on some design stuff, and the IDEO Collab, they do have it's an open source wallet prototype that they're working with, and that's just starting now, I think, to kind of, there's one of the open source designers, this lady from China, who wanted to start helping with the Grin wallet, and she's actually trying to now work with IDEO on their open source wallet. So it's really early on, but there seems to be a bit of a collaboration starting to happen around that, which I think is really cool.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thanks, Christoph. Cool. I'll follow up with you guys in more depth.
Cool. Thank you very much, Shira. I think we're coming pretty much up to the hour now, so I think we can end the call pretty shortly. I said either write in the Zoom chat any bio or a link to yourself, which I can tag onto the video. And if that doesn't work, you can also just send me a direct message on Telegram as well, and I'll put it on there when I upload later today. The next call we'll be doing in 2 weeks' time. The time zone is going to switch a little bit so it can we're better aligned to Asia. So it will be it's earlier the day for Europe and in the evening for Singapore, I think is when it will be. So it might cut out San Francisco and maybe just get New York. I'm not quite sure on the time yet, but we'll publish everything in the Web3 design community Telegram. Thank you everybody so much for participating. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for organizing this, Charlie.
Thank you.
Charlie.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You guys.
Bye.
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 First click all those links in the chat here
Oh yeah.
before they get lost.
I'll copy the links into the YouTube video as well in the description, so they all exist forever. That's what I did last time. Yeah, I think when I save the video, it gives me a transcript of the chat.
Wait, Charlie. By the way, I'm curious because I came in a bit late.
Sure.
I missed your introduction.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my name's Charlie. I run a design studio. So we focus purely on blockchain projects. I've been working with.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I remember now. Sorry.
Oh, cool.
So sorry.
No, that's all right. No problem at all. All right, cool. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too. I guess I'll see you all next time.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool. See you next time. Bye.
Okay. Bye.